kind of.
No worries.
All right, this is Nick here at Only Vibes, and this monthly has been a CC. We have had 2 pots of 6 players and a top 4, and the finals has been Dora versus Bravo. It's the Dora in the Netherlands. We say Dora. Actually, it's Dori for all the non-Dutch players, but Dorinthea. Slight spoiler: Donny Bravo won. I asked both players 2 questions. What's been your top 4 MVPs, and what are you looking at Monarch? So yeah, let's kick it off with Donny Bravo, Showstopper, Crippling Crush. Why is that the best
So
card?
yeah, Crippling Crush does it all because it attacks for 11. It's almost impossible to stop the effect or the crush effect if you give a dominate, and the crush effect is just so important. If you attack with crush, you don't always want to use dominate with Bravo, but with this card, you almost always want to do it. But you really have to set it up. You have to take some damage, and I think overall it's a very balanced card. Uh, Even though it feels broken when the crush effect hits, and it's just a devastating card.
Yeah, because then you actually remove their hand and cripple their next turn, and you actually push through damage.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is speaking for CC. Do you ever see it working in Blitz?
I think you can set it up in Blitz. You also need, I think, for that emerging dominance, to maybe set it up or set it up with a showtime, so you draw an extra card. I think it's possible, but the last season has just been full of Ira, and I think it's nearly impossible to win the Ira matchup. I think you have a reasonable matchup against lots of other decks. Against Warrior, it's doable, also difficult, but
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, let's focus mainly on
Yep.
Classic Constructed because that was the monthly was about. So and actually, I switched the orders, but in this match, Pommel was also quite MVP. Is it the reason why the class is strong in Classic Constructed?
Uh,
A reason?
uh, a reason, because you always have to keep track. Do you have a card in hand? Because with 2 cards, you can make a token. You attack. You swing with Anatos, so you attack for 6, and then if you have a card in hand or arsenal, you always have to think about whether your opponent has the pummel or not. It can really make a difference. So it's really good on Anatos, but of course you really want to connect with it on a Command and Conquer, because then you have to discard both arsenal and a card from hand. So that's
Well,
like the best play.
yeah, that's literal murder on. You have to call the cops when that happens. But I actually Anathos swing for 4 with just 1 blue pitch in your pitch zone, and then you pommeled it and you paid for pommel with the pitch, and suddenly it's not 4, it's 10. So it's like, oh damn, I was writing it down, making notes. But Command and Conquer, yeah, it's always a strong card, but especially in a deck where Pommel is strong, Command and Conquer is even stronger. Or is it late game to push through damage, always attacking Arsenal? What's your take?
Well, the pummel certainly helps, but it's also you're applying pressure. So when you attack with pummel, you instantly always think, I gotta defend this. That's your initial response, and then
Mm.
it makes it so much easier against Warrior, for instance. I don't mind if they block for 6, because then I know that their turn will not be as impactful, and I can easily block it and then set up with bigger plays maybe for next turn. So it becomes so much easier to play against Dorinthea.
Yeah, yeah, and Dorinthea especially is quite common in Classic Constructed. But the real MVP for you was the Remembrance.
Yep.
Is this some tech that you found out during playtesting, or?
No, it's just against Dorinthea, you just want to keep defending until the very end, and then shuffling back some cards after you know that your deck is almost entirely blue, and then shuffling back some red cards. It sets up your place so much. Yeah, it's so easy to set up a play with Crippling Crush or another crush, big crush card, and it's also demoralizing. What we talked about before.
Yeah,
If you attack with your sixth sixth command and conquer, so that's not something your opponent wants to see.
yeah, yeah. And you making somebody really sad playing against you, demoralizing him is also part of the mind games, which actually comes out even more when playing in Flesh and Blood. Playing Flesh and Blood in Flesh and Blood. So yeah,
Absolutely
absolutely, yeah. And there's just so much command and conquer you can can bear on your shoulders, especially
true.
pommeling. That's amazing. So well, thank you for your input, and we'll switch back to you at the end for your hot take on Monarch card. So
Okay.
Dorinthea, Sebastian,
Yes,
Steelblade Shunt, MVP for you?
that was for me. Oh yeah, I played I think four mirrors, three mirror matches,
Yeah,
and still play Chant is a must.
yeah,
I think it's such a good defense reaction, especially if you play Tunic.
yeah. Because you played Tune. I actually wrote that down during the match. I don't know. I think you got 3 or 4 mana from the Tunic, so that's more than you get from Courage. Because you own
Yes,
Courage, but you don't play it, right?
yeah, it's in the sideboard, but I've not slotted it in. I usually just play uh, Tunic just for things like the Steel Blade Shot, or just like swinging in with a weapon attack if you have nothing else, and then maybe with the card in your hand still threaten something. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
I
noticed
think
this. Well, it's about Steelblade Shunt, but Steelblade Shunt is good because of Tunic in your deck, right?
yeah, it was the game against you, like you said, you were attacking me, and I just paid one resource from Tunic and one card from hand, and that's it. And I still had three cards in hand and something in arsenal, and then you can still do damage.
Yeah, some surprise damage due to Tunic mana. Resources. Well, wrong game. Red overpowered. You actually play it.
I play too, yes. Yeah, it made me some turns, let's put it like that, just to go over the top, to go to the 13, 14, if you got some buffs. So that's and nobody expects it these days. I think
Yeah,
they were expecting a route, things like that, but not an overpower.
yeah, and yeah. Well, yeah. There's nothing much to say, but sometimes +4 is also enough when they say, "Well, no blocks." Did that happen, or is it always the reprise that puts it over the top for you?
Most of the time it's the reprise. I also play the blue one, and then even like the +4 is also good enough if they just block with one card and you just pump four over it. Because usually people think in threes,
Yeah.
because all the warrior cards usually buff by three, or at least all the red warrior cards buff by three.
Mm-hmm.
So then something else than three is I think
Do you
nice
actually
to mix it up.
do you actually play yellow overpowered then, or is it just
No, I said play blue. I play three
blue?
blue and two red.
Oh, okay.
But blue is usually for pitching, but
Speaking
and
of
using
yellow
it in.
cards, Singing Steelblade.
Yeah, that's the defense and the attack reaction where you can search all the attack reactions you want and the ones you just need at that time. Might it be an overpower? Might it be a glint for the go again
Yeah,
or route maybe? I think most of the time it's an Iron Song response and then still +4 because of the +1 from seeing Steelblade. So it's I think the most used attack reaction I have in.
yeah, it's the best one. And sometimes even when you because you play in Lightning Strike, putting on the bottom some Iron Song red, for instance, the Iron Song response, which you can then finally also tutor out. That's
Yeah, or the
always
or the route or something you just pitch last turn or something like that.
yeah. Pitching something and then finding it with Singing Steelblade is the best feeling. And of course, Steelblade Supremacy.
Yeah, it gave me some huge turns over all of the matches. So especially if you have some additional buffs with it, or like the Iron Song Termination or the Warrior's Valor or something like that, and it's the additional card draw. It's, makes a world of difference. You can just go big again. That's also in your second swing.
Yeah, and actually, because for Bravo, we know you have to set up, you have to work towards these turns, and you're always in a certain mindset. Okay, I'm going to take damage to dish the damage. How's it for you with Steelblade Supremacy? Do you always trigger it right away when you have it, or do you keep it sometimes, work towards a greater Steelblade Supremacy turn?
Yeah, I do think once. Sometimes I pitch it if it's too early, but most of the time I just keep it in my arsenal then to play when I have some additional blues or something, or some attack reactions to make sure at least that first attack hit. You want it most of the time on a turn where you have something that can give you go again. So
Yeah.
it could be your bolters, but preferably something else.
Yeah. It's not like you would keep your bolters because you haven't seen your Steelblade Supremacies, because you actually want to use your Supremacies later in the game.
Yeah, I think a little bit later it's better. I think it's nicer to have, but the bolters, there are so much things in Dorinthea which give the weapon go again, so it's not that I keep my bolters for that.
Oh, okay.
Though I do have the tendency to sometimes break them a little bit too early. But
yeah, in this match I did write it down. So bolters this early, but yeah, we never got to talk about it. But
yeah, sometimes I'm just a little bit too rash with it. It's something I have to learn. Still a lot to learn. And,
yeah, it's there's a lot of resource tracking and a lot of game states that you have to recognize. And
for example, the way that Don plays, really just like all the resource check. Oh, you have this much that. It's really good to learn. I think from a thing. So that's hopefully makes me also a better player.
Yeah, well, there's a reason you guys both are in the finale. You quite often win matches. This is not your first rodeo, and yeah, it was really noticeable with how reserved Don was with blocking, with his equipment, and actually saving those for the later game. And you for sticking in the game so long as that you did, because he put so much pressure on you, but you didn't give up. And I wrote to a friend of mine, this is a masterclass of not giving up. And actually, Don was said that you actually felt baited in getting greedier and greedier, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So excellent. It was a really nice match today. But to Monarch, the Guardian, the only Guardian attack action in the game, or in Monarch. That's the one you're looking for?
Yeah, Rouse the Ancient is just the card Guardian once. The downside is it doesn't defend for 3, it only defends for 2. But the fact that you get go again is something we don't have in Guardian yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really great addition to the deck.
Yeah, well, actually, what boots do you normally play in?
I run both Mage Master boots and the Iron Rod legs, but against Warrior I play the Iron Rods because you need the extra defense.
Yeah.
And you don't really have the time to set up big plays or take a turn in between to really figure out what you want to do. So I never played against the Warrior. And I really prefer Iron Rod legs. I really prefer to grind the match and see where it goes instead of finding plays early and then take more damage to do a lot of damage. I'd rather sit back and see how someone else empties their deck and just grind it out with the hammer.
Yeah. So time snap boots, time snap potion boots. You would play it maybe in the sideboard, but you would still look at iron rods or maybe the new boots that block for 2.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe iron rods aren't that bad. Everybody was bitching about our run boards being this bad, but sometimes blocking for one is actually really valuable, and not getting crippling crushed to that end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last one, Brandish was the one that you're looking at as the warrior card.
Yes, just to go a little bit, to start off with a nice three go again attack, and then making your sword swing +1 after it. So upping it to the nice 4, which usually requires a card and equipment, or
Two
two
cards.
cards later on.
And we all know that that one damage from a Dawnblade can result in much more damage. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get the tokens, then yes,
Yeah,
certainly.
the highest I've ever been on Dawnblade was 3, and I was feeling king of the world. I
That's the
did
thing.
win the match. Surprise, surprise. So, well, thank you very much for both of you guys' time and an amazing match that I could have watched. I always want to finish up with some philosophical stuff because that's just who I am. So, be gracious in defeat and humble in victory. I think being a good sport makes you a better opponent, and then you at least have a connection with your opponent and you can talk about the match and find out lessons learned. Don actually after the match straight up gave Sebastian some pointers and tips. Um, so yeah, that's what I love about this card game. You can make friends through it, and yeah, uh, that's the best part of the hobby. So we're all looking forward to being in that stinky basement with a bunch of nerds and grinding those tournaments. So if you speak Dutch and want to play, we have this monthly tournament competition. Just leave a comment in the and we'll get in contact with you. Okay, thank you very much. That's all. Cheers.